Yeah, just saw her.
Well, we gotta wait for Jill.
That's awful.
I mean, we could do the flag of allegiance and stuff, but yeah, we do need to. Linda needs, come on. Linda,
He's gonna read it. Mark's gonna read it.
who's gonna read it?
Mark.
Oh, Martin's gonna read it.
Martin.
Okay, well, Martin's here.
Pass it over.
Okay, everybody is signed in.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Martin is going to read it.
Martin?
Hey Jill, how are you?
Jill. That's for the business.
Yeah,
Snow that much tomorrow?
one or two things around here, one or two. Up north is gonna get, they said, up north is all
My kids are very sad about it.
more down here. The lines changing, they hit the switch.
I don't know. Yeah, it's a good thing we built that R-95 corridor.
On the snow, because they can go on the slopes this coming weekend, and it's like, they're the only ones who have nothing broken right now, so. Like, yeah, they did want to do that.
It's gonna be warm afterwards, so.
Yeah, but like, I saw like,
I like the best.
we have delayed opening tomorrow.
All right.
They announced it?
Township, the school.
Oh. I was like,
Our school like is saying.
yeah, David's not gonna do it. Same thing.
Yeah, it's May. I think it takes pictures of us.
That's technology. We haven't gotten there yet, right?
Uh-huh.
Okay, how are you? Thank you for turning that stuff on.
Yeah, I'll just take this.
Yep, I appreciate Just to let you all know, we're not on Zoom, or not on YouTube today.
Not
Because they switched out the computers and I don't have the password for YouTube Google account.
It could be recorded in.
It's re-recorded, we'll upload it first thing in the morning.
So Linda should announce that.
Yeah.
to,
Well, we're up and going.
Oh,
okay.
So,
that's right. No one's mine. We need to announce it. It's not live.
Then,
we had to switch out computers and I guess.
Something.
Okay, I'm ready, Linda, when you are.
I can take this out.
I call this meeting to order. It's the Board of Health meeting for February 12th, 2024. Roll call.
Gawaz,
Here.
Jeevers,
Here.
Mandel,
Here.
Weiss,
Here.
Whitfield.
Here.
Everybody would please rise to the.
Oh, wait,
oh,
have it
sorry.
adequately noticed for this meeting?
Yeah, I'm pushing it, sorry. January 16th, 2024, to the Princeton Packet, the Times, posted in the municipal building and on the township website. Now would everybody please rise for the salute to the flag?
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, if anyone would like to make a comment, this is the Board of Health meeting. Please come up to the microphone, state your name and address. And you'll have 3 minutes to make any comments that you may want to make. Okay, seeing none. Now for action tonight, minutes, Board of Health, November 13th, 2023. I get a motion to approve.
So moved.
Second,
Any discussion? Seeing none, roll call vote.
Fawaz,
Yes.
Mandel,
yes.
Whitfield,
Yes.
Jeevers.
Yes, motion approved. So we have Jill Swanson, our Health Department.
Hello,
So-
how are you?
Yours now.
Okay. Just a few items. We do have a proposed amendment that was just distributed, and it's amending the fee ordinance, chapter 8226 related to the lead safe rental ordinance, which we recently adopted. The proposed revision will allow the township to enter into a professional service agreement with a certified lead evaluation contractor and allow that firm to collect the inspection fees directly from the homeowner rather than moving through the township. And under this model, the fees will be agreed upon within the professional service agreement and stipulated. And this approach will streamline the process for both the property owners and for the township, the administrative work for the township. Any questions on that?
Yeah, the opposed amendment is F.
I'm sorry?
Is there a copy of the amendment or is it not? put together?
Yes. I thought that was distributed. No, it was adding one clause to the fee ordinance that we had adopted previously. And that clause would allow us to use this model as opposed to establishing fees within the township, charging the fee and then paying the contractor
Okay.
on behalf of the homeowner.
Because the copy I have ends at E.
Right, there was a proposal for F, which was the new
Right.
clause.
Okay.
Then the February 1st memo, right, Jill?
February.
Yes, it was.
There
the-
wasn't a
There's a
fee set in there. It was just what we were going to.
Yeah,
But
so there
that's the
wasn't, it
section.
wasn't an actual change. It was just a sort of
This
discussion.
is
of-
just discussion tonight.
Right, so there's no actual proposed F. It's just the discussion of what we're going to put in F.
There was some
correct?
verbiage, did that not go to council? I thought
Should
it-
have.
Yeah, I thought it was distributed. It was one paragraph. I have it here if you'd like me to read it.
Sure.
Yeah.
All right, why don't you
want
me?
Yeah,
Find
if you
it.
could read it to us, that would.
Okay, so 8226F. In the event the township enters into a professional service agreement with a third-party lead evaluation contractor to offer the township facilitated inspection option, and such agreement specifies a fixed fee structure, all fees shall be paid by the property owner directly to the contracted professional or as specified in the professional services agreement. Filing fees required under 82-26A collected by the contracted professional shall be remitted to the township as specified by the terms of the executed agreement. So if you recall, when we originally adopted this ordinance, we set a fee for inspection and a separate fee for filing. And the filing fee includes a $20 fee per inspection that must be forwarded to the New Jersey Department of Community Affairs. So rather than have, in this model, rather than having a property owner come to the township, pay fees, and then us dispatch a third-party contractor to go out and do the inspection. Those inspections would be scheduled directly with the contractor that we've entered into this agreement with under fees that we've established within the agreement. They will collect the filing fee and the inspection fee. And once a month, the township would receive the filing fee portion. The contractor would retain the inspection fee for the services.
Right.
And keep in mind that the property owners also will have the option of using a private contractor and not using the township
Right.
facilitated inspection. So that's important to remember.
So will that be the only, so if somebody wants a quote township inspection? Oh, okay, we just got one. Thank you. Hot off the press. So the only inspection through the township will be through this contractor, or are we leaving an option that we may want to do some of those later?
So the township will not do the inspections, the contractor, the party that we contract with. If a property owner chooses to use a township facilitated inspection, our contractor will do that work. But the property owner could also say, I've worked with XYZ firm for the last 10 years on my rental properties. I want to stick with them. They can do that and simply submit the certificate to our office.
Right, so that wouldn't come under this. That
It
would be,
not, no.
that would be separately where they're allowed by law, by state law to do their own inspection. But if they do an inspection through the town, that will always go through the contractor and they will pay the fee directly to the contractor. then.
Right, right. We will, and that will be the option F that we're proposing. I'm also recommending that we keep the fees for inspections that we added to the ordinance. Keep in mind, it's a new state law, so we're kind of filling this out as we go. So a few years down the line, we may find that we want a different approach and we may not contract out with a firm in this manner. So then we would have the option, if we retain the previously adopted ordinance, we would retain that ability to directly charge if we're doing those inspections or contracting differently.
So that stays there. This becomes, if we decide to do this, it gets done this way. The only time we would have to change the ordinance is presumably if we change the fee, because that would have to be done by ordinance then.
Right, exactly. If we change the fee, or if there would be the option with, under the professional services agreement that we enter into, if we're dealing with a firm that's willing to collect those fees directly, it can be agreed upon under the professional services agreement.
Okay, so, okay, because according to this one, it says that the fee has to be paid directly to the contracted professional.
Yes,
So we are going to do that. And the $20 will cover it?
I'm
or-
sorry.
The $20 will cover whatever.
So the $20 is a separate fee for every, under the state law, for every inspection that's performed under this law, $20 has to be assessed by the township to the property owner, and those funds must be forwarded to the New Jersey Department of Community Affairs.
So that 20, all right, so I read that, that $20, but are we charging enough so that when we get the money and then you have to put it into account and then you got to send, I don't know if you send a letter and a check or it's done electronically to the state, are we covering our fees on our end to administer that $20 to the state?
So again, this is a new law and we're filling many things out, but we have chosen to include in the previous version that we've already adopted a $50 filing fee.
Okay.
So whether they use their own inspector or a township facilitated inspector, they will pay $50 to file that lead safe certificate with the township. $20 of that $50 must be forwarded to the DCA. So we're estimating in general
Right.
the $30 administrative cost.
Review it, make sure everything's in order.
Yes,
like that.
there is some oversight still on our part to ensure that those properties that are subject to this, that there's some follow through, there's education, there's outreach. We suspect that oversight will diminish over time. But in general, we are assessing that $30 as an administrative cost for the town's work towards us.
And and you're far enough in the contract negotiation to feel that that's going to be pretty much within what the numbers are going to be then.
Yes, the actual inspection fees there'll be an additional inspection fee on top of this.
Mm.
That the property owners are subject to per property.
Okay.
This has to be done by July 1st.
It has to be done by July 24th of this year
24th,
for
okay.
the initial inspection. And then there is a requirement every 3 years or a tenant turnover, whichever is sooner.
Okay. Any other comments, questions?
Seems like an easier way to do this.
Yeah.
Yes.
We will put this on for introduction at the February 26th meeting.
26.
And hearing will be 2 weeks.
The first one in March. So hopefully just by the beginning of April, the 20-day stopple will be done and it will be in effect for Jill to move forward.
Right. Yeah, thanks, Joe. Appreciate it.
Oh, you're welcome.
Are there any issues from any of us, any Board of Health members, council members, any issues for this Board of Health meeting? No. Okay, seeing none.
I just had a few more quick updates if I. can have a
Yes,
second, I think.
yes.
So radon test kits will be available in the health department soon. We have placed an order and we've partnered with New Jersey DEP to make the kits available to residents free of charge while supplies last. So we will provide a notice on the township website as soon as they come in. We encourage all homeowners to ensure their homes have been tested. Radon has been identified as the leading cause of lung cancer in non-smokers. And prolonged exposure causes approximately 500 deaths in New Jersey per year. It's relatively inexpensive to test and reduce the levels in your home if they're found to be elevated. And a few more updates on vaccination for both COVID and flu. The insured population is encouraged to seek out COVID updated vaccinations at your primary care or your local pharmacy. However, there are some gaps and our public health nurses worked very hard to ensure that we can fill some of these gaps. We've enrolled in an adult vaccination program, which is federally funded. And that makes COVID and flu vaccination available to uninsured and underinsured adults over the age of 19. So those appointments are available by appointment. And that's new in our office as of January. We're also participating with the state under state-funded vaccine supply. Again, this was recently made available. And through this, we're able to offer home visits. And the nursing staff has been out providing home visits to homebound residents. Again, the request can be made directly to our department. And we're also doing some targeted clinic for at-risk groups in housing complexes, group homes, and similar settings. We are backing off of the senior center clinics. We held a clinic recently, and we're continuing to see about 50% of those who register for those clinics appear. So, it's no longer really advantageous for us to continue to partner with the pharmacy to host those clinics. But anyone who's seeking a vaccination and you're unable to find a location, they can certainly reach out to us. I also have an update on our child health clinic. We've just moved the clinic to the Grace Norton Rogers School in Hightstown. And this clinic is offered in partnership with East Windsor Health Department, and we serve the children from Hightstown, West Windsor, and East Windsor at that clinic. Any questions?
The at-home visits, is that only for people who are, say, uninsured or underinsured, or?
No, it's also
Okay.
for insured. What we found were, although you may be insured, it may be difficult if you're homebound to
Right,
find
that's what I'm
someone to come in
thinking.
to do the vaccination. So yes, and we've done several over the last few weeks since the vaccine has been available to us for this specific.
So
cause.
that's anybody over 19 that would need that, presumably.
And that program is available to any age, the
Okay.
homebound. We're also able to vaccinate. There are some young children who can only be vaccinated at, they can't be vaccinated in a pharmacy. So say, 6 month, 1 year old. So the state has provided some vaccine for us. If you're in a situation where your pediatrician does not carry the vaccine and you're seeking out a vaccination, we are able to accommodate you, and that's by appointment in our office.
Any questions? Anyone?
Any recommendations on the COVID, how often to get the newest COVID shot or anything like that?
So the recommendation is to receive the 2020 3 updated COVID vaccination. If you've already received that, then there is not a recommendation to receive an additional booster. And if you have any doubts where you are in the process, you can certainly give us a call and
Right.
we'll help look at your records and
Right,
walk you
right.
through that process. We do get a few of those calls. And obviously, we are still very much in respiratory season right now. Flu is high statewide, so it's not too late to get a flu shot. COVID is still circulating, and indeed, if you're traveling and preparing for that spring break, it may not be a bad idea to look at your vaccinations and see where you stand.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you very much. Good.
Thank you, Jill.
Thank you.
Thank you, Cheryl.
Thank you.
Hey, any further comments, Mayor? Marlena, any comments, administration?
As usual, thank you.
Thank you.
All right, is there any need for the Board of Health closed session? No need, right? For closed session here, next week. Good. All right. This is second opportunity for public comment. Like to make a comment, please state your name and address, and you'll have up to 3 minutes. Okay, seeing none. And again, we are not live on YouTube because we're having technical difficulties, but the meeting is being taped and will be broadcast as soon as we can get that up. So can I have a motion to adjourn the Board of Health meeting?
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, this meeting is adjourned. Okay, I call this meeting, the business session meeting, February 12th, 2024. Okay, call to order.
Gawas,
Yes.
Chevers,
Yes,
Mandel,
Yes.
Weiss,
Yes.
Whitfield.
Yes.
This meeting was adequately noticed on January 19th, 2024 to the Times, the Princeton Packet, filed with the clerk and posted in the township township building.
okay, we already done the salute to the flag.
Yep.
And under ceremonial matters this evening, we're celebrating Black History Month. So we're going to begin with Martin reading a proclamation for Black History Month.
Sir. Thank you, Madam President. Celebrating February as Black History Month proclamation. Whereas Black History Month is a time to commemorate the historic struggles of African Americans to gain freedom and equality, and to recognize the importance of these struggles to our country's history and ideals, and to celebrate the many achievements African Americans have made to our economic, cultural, spiritual, and political development as a nation. And whereas Black History Month grew out of the establishment in 1926 of Negro History Week by Carter G. Woodson and the Association for the Study of African American Life and History. And whereas in 2024, the national theme for observance is African Americans' influence on the arts in the United States. The focus will be on poets, writers, visual artists, and dancers and their contributions over the years. And whereas the observance of Black History Month calls our attention to the ongoing need to enhance our understanding of Black history, to overcome racism, and to build a society that lives up to its democratic ideals. And whereas the Township of West Windsor continues to work toward becoming an even more inclusive community in which all citizens, past, present, and future, are respected and recognized for their contributions to our community, the county, and the state. And whereas the Township of West Windsor is proud to honor the history and contributions of African Americans in our community, such as our senior center and schools throughout New Jersey and the nation. Now, therefore, be it resolved that Mayor Himat Marate and the Township Council of the Township of West Windsor hereby proclaims February as Black History Month in perpetuity, and encourages all citizens to celebrate our diverse heritage and culture and continue our efforts to create a world that is more just, peaceful, and prosperous for all. In witness whereas we hereunto set our signatures and cause to be affixed the Great Seal of the Township of West Windsor this 12th day of February 2024.
Thank you. Was part of our Black History Month celebrations. Very, very special guest tonight joining us, Martin's daughter. So Pakala Amos Whitfield is a graduate of High School South and is currently a senior as an art education major at the College of New Jersey. So in honor of Black History Month, Michaela is here tonight to do a presentation on the many contributions African Americans have made in the area of the arts in this country throughout the years.
Thank you.
Welcome.
Thank you. All right, I'll just reintroduce myself. I'm Michaela Amos Whitfield. I am a senior art education major at the College of New Jersey. And so I'm just here today to talk about influential Black artists. But before I start, we did talk about how February is dedicated to people who created Black history. And my dad actually created Black history. He is the first African-American West Windsor councilman. So I just wanted to give him props before I get started with the artists. But
Yeah, who is that guy? He looks too good.
all right, so today I'm going to be talking about 4 different type of art mediums. There's obviously more than 4, but I want to highlight these 4. So I did drawing and painting, I did music, poetry, and acting. So I'm going to get started with drawing and painting. My first artist I have today is John Michael Basquiat. And so he was born on the 22nd of December in 1960 in Brooklyn, New York. His father, Gerard, was born in Port-au-Prince in Haiti, and his mother, Matilde, was from New York, and she's a native Puerto Rican descent. So a lot of his artwork, he shows a crown, which is signature artistic motif, and acknowledge and challenge the history of Western art. So he liked to adorn Black male figures, including athletes, musicians, and writers. And with the crown, he raised these historically differentiated artists to royal, even saintly statures. And then in 1982, at the age of 21, he became the youngest artist to actually ever exhibit in Documenta in Kassel, Germany, and he had 60 of his paintings featured in this exhibition. My next artist is Kehinde Wiley. So his art journey began with a classical education in art history, Bachelor of Fine Arts from San Francisco Art Institute, and then he went to have a degree in the Master of Fine Arts from School of Yale University. And at Yale, he secured a prestigious art residency at the Studio Museum in Harlem, and he further equipped himself with deep understanding of artistic traditions, techniques, and styles. So what's interesting about Kehinde Wiley is that his unique approach to selecting his subjects, he actually street cast them, which means instead of using professional models, he would go out into the streets and communities and engage with different individuals, and he would hire them to be his muses essentially in his paintings. So he had diversity of real people, elevate them to the status and power traditionally reserved for white aristocrats featured in art history. And he also exhibited all over the world, his position in a prominent figure in an ever more globalized art landscape. So as you can see, the first picture at the top, he would do a comparison between the major European art history, and then he would influence a Black woman and try to compare and contrast them. My next artist is Kara Walker. So she was born November 26 in 1969. She is an American contemporary painter, silhouettist, printmaker, installation artist, filmmaker, and professor who explores race, gender, sexuality, violence, and identity in her artwork. She is best known for her room-sized black cut paper silhouettes, and she was awarded the MacArthur Fellowship in 1997 at the age of 28, and she was the youngest ever recipient of the award. She also believed that her historically inspired art deals with history, but rather than it responds to history. So she quoted, embedded in that statement, that she's dealing with history. This is a desire for a hero who can fix this problem in our history and racism. She also said that she doesn't think that her work is actually officially dealing with the history. She thinks that her artwork is submerged and consumed by history. So now on to musical influences. I start off with Louis Armstrong. So he was one of the first popular African-American entertainers to cross over to wide popularity with white and international audiences, and his influence extended beyond jazz, reaching popular music in general. So his collaboration with Ella Fitzgerald and appearances in films further solidified his cultural significance. He also holds the honor as the greatest jazz artist of all time, simply because he had a technique that was immaculately close to flawless. So playing the trumpet, Armstrong took the jazz music genre by storm in the late 1920s, and he was praised for his sharp sense of harmony as well as his ability to time his inflections. He was no ordinary trumpeter. dazzling jazz patrons with his stage performance, which is complemented as well as his crafted melodies. So these techniques were some of the reasons why jazz music became popular in America. My next artist is Kendrick Lamar. So he is known for his thought-provoking and introspective lyrics. He often tackles issues such as racism, violence, inequality, and sparking conversations with raising awareness. So in 2018, Kendrick Lamar made history by becoming the first rapper to win a Pulitzer Prize for his album and a prestigious award recognizes for his contribution to the music industry. Kendrick Lamar often incorporates social and political issues into his music. His song All Right became an anthem for the Black Lives Matter movement and earned him critical acclaim. Kendrick Lamar has lent his music talents to film soundtracks. His contributions to movies like Black Panther and Creed have earned him critical acclaim. And my final musical artist is Whitney Houston. So her self-titled 1985 debut album, Whitney Houston, is her best-selling album. Saving All My Love for You was her first #1 hit single in both the US and UK. She scored a further 2 hits of this album, Greatest Love of All and How Will I Know. The later introduced her to MTV audiences and made her one of the first African-American female artists to receive heavy rotation on the network. Whitney Houston is only an artist to chart 7 #1 Billboard Hot 100 hits in a row. Saving All My Love for You, How Will I Know, Greatest Love of All, I Want to Dance with Somebody. Didn't We Almost Have It All? So Emotional. Where Do Broken Hearts Go? She is also the only artist with at least 1 Grammy, Emmy, MTV Music Video Award, MTV Movie Award, People's Choice Award, and Billboard Music Award, making her the most awarded female artist of all time, according to the Guinness Book of World Records. So now on to poetry. My first poet is Langston Hughes. So Langston Hughes was an American poet, social activist, novelist, playwright, and columnist from Missouri. One of the earliest innovators of the literary art form called jazz poetry, Hughes is best known as a leader of the Harlem Renaissance. He famously wrote about the period the Negro was in vogue, which was later paraphrased as when Harlem was in vogue. The Weary Blues is a poem by American poet Langston Hughes, written in 1925. The Weary Blues was first published in the Urban League magazine Opportunity. It was awarded the magazine's prize for Best Poem of the Year. My next poet is Zora Neale Hurston. She's known for her work in writing books, novels, and short stories. She has also written a number of poems during her career, which includes the famous poem entitled How It Feels to Be Colored by Me. Zora Neale Hurston's research made her a pioneer writer of folk fiction about African Americans in the South. She was a prominent writer in the Harlem Renaissance. Their Eyes Are Watching God, published in 1937, is her most celebrated novel. And my final poet is Maya Angelou. So she was an American memoirist, poet, and civil rights activist. She published 7 autobiographies, 3 books of essays, several books of poetry, and is credited with a list of plays, movies, and television shows spanning over 50 years. She received dozens of awards and more than 50 honorary degrees. Maya Angelou won 3 Grammy Awards, not for singing, but for her spoken word albums. She won her first Grammy for the poem On the Pulse of the Morning, which she wrote for Bill Clinton's inauguration in 1993. Her other Grammy wins were for the poem Phenomenal Woman and the audiobook version of autobiography, A Song Flung Up to Heaven. And now on to acting. My first actor is Denzel Washington. So he's an American actor, producer, and director. In a career spanning over 4 decades, Washington has received numerous accolades, including a Tony Award, 2 American Academy Awards, 3 Golden Globe Awards, and 2 Silver Bears. Known for his engaging and powerful performances throughout his career, he has been regularly praised by critics, and his consistent success at the box office have helped him to dispel the perception that African-American actors cannot draw mainstream white audiences. And in the picture on the bottom right, we have my father with Denzel Washington.
When no one knew.
And my second actor is Angela Bassett. So Angela Bassett is an American actress known for her work in film and television since the 1980s. She has received various accolades, including 2 Golden Globe Awards, in addition to nominations for 2 Academy Awards and 8 Primetime Emmy Awards. So Angela Bassett received an Academy Honorary Award at the 14th Annual Governors Awards. An Academy Award, honorary award is basically an award for a lifetime achievement within the film industry, and an NAACP Image Award for outstanding lead actress in motion picture. And my final actor is Sidney Poitier. So Sidney Poitier became the first Black actor to win an Oscar in a lead role. It was landmark victory for Poitier, who has gained a reputation as a preeminent example of African-American leading actor. So the Presidential Medal of Freedom is the nation's highest civilian honor presented to individuals who have made especially contributions to the security or national interest of the United States, to world peace or culture of significant public or private endeavors. And in 2009, Poitier was awarded the Presidential Medal of Freedom from Barack Obama. And that's all my artists today. Thank you.
Thank you very much. That's excellent. Now I'd like to just take 1 minute to get a picture
What's that?
with Martin, you and your daughter, and then council members. with
Sure.
Macala too.
Sure.
All right?
Down there?
Yeah, down, yeah.
Okay.
Bless you. Again, can we put this on the municipal website, the presentation? Good, thank you.
I'll see what I can do.
Yeah.
You in the mayor, you know, to things, you know, to things, what's the night?
Thank you very much.
Okay, Mayor, you wanted to make some comments on 2024 R072, which is a resolution to support SRI International in their efforts to obtain funding through the CHIPS and Science Act of 2022.
Yeah, thanks. Linda had asked me how this came about, so I don't write memos, so I said I'll just comment on it at the meeting. So since I became mayor in 2017, I've been involved in many discussions with SRI regarding development of their property in West Windsor. Some of these proposals council has been aware of because I did discuss it with them. Some were only in discussion phases and never went anywhere. The focus was always on what's best for West Windsor residents. And during these discussions, one thing was clear both to SRI and to me, that no matter how that property was developed, it must include the Pensneck bypass that has only been talked about for so long. So recently, I was very excited when SRI discussed a proposal that is the best so far and something that I enthusiastically support and urge council to support as well. Princeton is known around the world as an elite educational institute. West Windsor is known as the town where the Martians landed. A lot of people don't know that West Windsor has been a place of significant scientific breakthroughs, such as color TV, LCD technology, digital TV, electronic ignition of cars, just to name a few. And Sarnoff Research SRI and all its predecessors have been played a significant part in these breakthroughs. And most people, even West Windsor residents, don't know that. So SRI has applied for funding under the CHIPS and Science Act of 2022 to enlarge their current facilities in West Windsor. As mayor, I enthusiastically support their application, and this is the best proposal that of all that I have heard from them so far. They have an established record and are well deserving to be granted the funding. They are also working with various state organizations to secure the funding. Obtaining the grant will make the SRI campus a thriving research facility that will help the US maintain our lead in chip technologies. Having observed other entities that have been funded under the Act so far, and you hear them on CNBC all the time, SRI is as deserving as any of them. Given the proximity of Princeton University and the talent that is offered by West Windsor residents, this is an ideal location to establish a facility for the state-of-the-art research facility. The township has agreed to work aggressively with SRI to expedite the construction of the facility if they are so granted the funding. So one of the requirements of funding is they want to make sure that the local government is in support of it and they're not going to fight for any new construction. So that's the reason for this proclamation showing our enthusiastic support. So I will urge the council to support the resolution. After you pass it, I'm going to request the county executive and freeholders also to pass a similar resolution expressing their support. And they are already working with the state to apply for this funding. And I'm very optimistic that they will get it, and that will make Mercer County a leader in high-tech research.
Thank you. That's exciting for West Windsor's long history with SRI and technology and all is in West Windsor. And so whatever we can do to help our existing businesses would be great. And so much explosion in technology and chips and AI and all these different things that, you know, we should be a hub here for innovation.
Right.
Yeah.
Any other comments? Anybody?
Yeah, I had the opportunity when I was on planning board the other year, 2022, I think, to tour SRI. And because there was some proposal was being discussed, and it was an interesting to look at. On one hand, I got to see David Sonoff's office, which was really fantastic. And on the other hand, there was a lot of equipment there that sort of reminded me of when I started in engineering a number of years ago. So there's a lot good going on there. There's been a lot of great people, but there's a lot that could be put into there to really bring them up. They do have a clean room. One of the benefits they have is that they are good enough in some of the old technology that they've been actually keeping a lot of our defense and our satellites and other things working. Whereas if you went into a totally new facility, they wouldn't have had both the capability with equipment, or they wouldn't have the people that would know how to do that. So SRI kind of provides this blend of having the ability to do the older technology and the ability to do the newer technology in clean rooms that I think is really going to be made into something wonderful if they can get this money here. And the fact that it's coming into West Windsor, hopefully coming into West Windsor, is something that I really feel we all should be supporting, and I would look forward to. Thanks.
Thank you. Anyone else?
You know, this is exciting. I think it will also bring more employment, I think, and also you did touch on the bypass as well, so that would be part of something that we would work.
I mean, first they have to let's wait till they get the money.
No, I know, but I'm just getting ahead of. You know,
Always thinking
we
of
need
that we need that bypass. Yes, I was going to
Yes.
say that. They need it. Everybody in that area
We need
needs
that,
the whole
our
town
hospital
needs it.
needs it.
Yes. We haven't forgotten that. Okay.
No, but this is great.
yeah.
This is really
Yeah.
good.
Okay. It's great to hear this. All right, so we'll move on. We have a proposed resolution 2024 R073, and that is a resolution stating opposition to New Jersey bills S50 and A4 in their current form. And this has to do with affordable housing legislation for the fourth round. So later in this meeting, under recommendations from the administration and council and the clerk, there's this proposed resolution. It affects the upcoming fourth round of affordable housing obligations, which is set to begin in July 2025. So it's coming up pretty quick. I know, I think a few of us, Andrea, Dan, myself, maybe Sonia, you were on with the Zoom webinar last Friday with the New Jersey League of Municipalities on these two bills. And as reported by the New Jersey League of Municipalities, I mean, A4 was on the Assembly Board for a voting session scheduled for today. And Senate Bill S50 was reported favorably out of the Senate Community and Urban Affairs Committee on January 25th, and second reference to the Senate Budget and Appropriations Committee, the SBA. The bill is subject to further amendments if and when it progresses to the Senate. The SBA is scheduled to meet on February 22nd, and the full Senate is scheduled for a voting session on March 21st. And of course, all these dates are subject to change. So it's an ongoing thing, and we'll see how this all plays out. So it's a work in progress. Nothing has been finally determined just yet. So the idea here was to give our state legislators some, thoughts and some feedback on the legislation and some of the information that's in it that we would hope they would take a little closer look at. So, does anyone have any comments?
I have some prepared remarks, and because I think it's important for us to sort of set the context about this issue. And if I get anything wrong, I'm sort of drinking from the fire hose to learn this. So if I get anything wrong, don't hesitate to call me out and correct me. But affordable housing is essentially a constitutional requirement, as ruled by the New Jersey Supreme Court in a case known as the Mount Laurel Doctrine nearly 50 years ago in 1975. This case set the precedent that municipalities have an obligation to provide their fair share of affordable housing for low and moderate income residents, a principle that has since been upheld and further developed through subsequent court decisions and legislative actions. This landmark ruling aimed to combat exclusionary zoning practices and promote socioeconomic diversity and inclusion in New Jersey communities. The Council on Affordable Housing, also known as COA, was established in 1985 and was tasked with overseeing the development and implementation of affordable housing policies in New Jersey. Its primary responsibilities included establishing affordable housing quotas for municipalities, monitoring that compliance with those quotas, and allocating funding for affordable housing initiatives. However, over the years, COA faced numerous challenges and controversies that impacted its effectiveness. One of the most significant issues was the prolonged legal battles and legislative gridlock surrounding the methodology used to determine each municipality's fair share of affordable housing obligations. This led to delays in the implementation of affordable housing policies and created uncertainty for municipalities. And to make matters worse, past gubernatorial administrations failed to appoint members to fill vacancies in COA, leaving the council unable to carry out its duties. This lack of leadership has further exacerbated the challenges of implementing coherent affordable housing policies statewide. So without a functioning COA, affordable housing disputes moved into the courts, where municipalities were assaulted by numerous lawsuits, resulting in lengthy and costly litigation. And in 2018, a Superior Court judge ruled that West Windsor had not met its affordable housing obligation and needed to zone for the construction of 1,500 affordable units by 2025. This figure represented a 15-year backlog as well as a 10-year forward view. The ruling came after years of litigation and negotiations. West Windsor has grappled with the challenge of meeting our affordable housing obligations while balancing concerns such as zoning regulations, community character, and infrastructure capacity. And in 2025, just 1 year from now, all municipalities will be required to submit a plan to provide affordable housing for the next 10 years. And our leaders in the New Jersey legislature has introduced legislation to prevent a repeat of what happened in the last round, whereas affordable housing requirements were decided by a very costly judicial process. So the new legislation introduces a detailed administrative process to determine fair share housing obligations, to provide some protections to prevent costly builder remedy lawsuits, and moves the decision-making process away from the courts and under the jurisdiction of the Department of Community Affairs. Some aspects of the new legislation of note is that the next round is capped at 1,000 units, with numerous opportunities to reduce the total obligation based on specific use cases like special needs housing. And age restricting housing can account for as much as 30% of these units. The reality of the situation is that legislation will be passed this year to address the administration of affordable housing requirements. And it's not going to be perfect. Nothing coming out of Trenton is ever perfect. But having something in place will be a vast improvement compared to what happened in the last round, where West Windsor incurred really significant costs due to litigation. So our role as council members is to advocate for legislation that minimizes our risks and provides a clear, fair, and achievable process to define and meet our affordable housing requirements. So as Linda mentioned, over the past several weeks, leaders in our legislature have been collaborating with leaders from the New Jersey League of Municipalities to adopt changes to the legislation. Numerous changes have been agreed to that improve the legislation, such as adding additional protections to municipalities. And that's an excellent sign, as it demonstrates that our legislators are listening and taking action based on our concerns. The legislation process continues to be very fluid. Earlier today, an amended version of the bill was presented to the Assembly that included no less than 23 items addressing the concerns presented by the League of Municipalities. We must continue to advocate for change. Areas of the legislation should be considered for further improvement are as follows. An update to the obligations calculation so that it accounts for the financial burdens that will result from additional development, including but not limited to the management of infrastructure, emergency services, environmental impacts such as stormwater management, and educational services. And funding opportunities to mitigate those financial impacts should be included. And there should be an allowance of additional time to determine the obligation as well as the submission of the full plan. Thank you.
Good. Thank you.
That sounded like a good, that was good. Takes it back from, I guess, back from the start, from 1975. I do look at this and I say, God, this is 50 years. Every time I've looked at it, that, whenever they say, oh, there was restrictive zoning and exclusionary zoning, and I'm saying, oh, gee, 50 years ago they were doing this. But so I'll try not to go through what you did. First of all, I would like to thank Linda for putting this together and spearheading this. And I know how many hours she spent, because I know she's gotten feedback from everybody, and she was massaging it and putting it together. And I think it came out really nice. So thank you, Linda. I have, and I believe a number of my colleagues have I have been for like at least the last 6 years. Every time I've had the opportunity, if I meet anybody from any party in the state legislature or anyone with any power, I bring this up. It doesn't matter what the topic of discussion is, where I am, if it's this has been the number one, and the number one thing has always been, can you establish something other than a bunch of lawsuits in the courts from the state to take care of this issue? It's killing us, the idea that we don't really know what's going to happen, that that it seems to be the whim of a particular judge. It's a matter of people, not law, that make the decision. And we really need some form of a ordinance from the state that sets out the rules rather than causing a free-for-all of lawsuits in order to make the decisions on this. And the free-for-all for lawsuits doesn't really produce any housing either. It produces some eventually, but a lot of money is spent that doesn't house one person. So it's a lose-lose for just about everybody except whoever makes makes money in these things, some developers, and we'd like to avoid that. And we'd like to avoid not knowing. And I was telling, Linda's been there a few times. I know she's done the same thing, and I know others have. And basically we get everything from, oh, I didn't realize it, to that's not on my priority list, to I'm not going to touch that a lot of the time. So I was actually kind of surprised when last December there was a bill and it was, okay, we're going to pass it tomorrow and get it through the lame duck legislature. And I'm glad cooler heads prevailed and they realized that wasn't going to happen. And they stopped that, and they're willing to listen a little bit to some of the concerns that we have. As mentioned, both Linda and I think we mentioned last time, went to one of the hearings, the one that was before the Senate. We gave testimony. I took my testimony and I emailed it to a number of people in the Senate and the Assembly who are on the various committees, and in addition to our own representatives. And the league got, the legal municipalities got more involved. And on Friday's Zoom call, I was pleasantly surprised that a lot of good was done. I think a lot of changes were made in the right direction. Not there yet. There's still a lot of what to me are very major issues, but I really want to thank the people in the league that did this, because it was very obvious that a lot of what was said was taken to, I'll say, heart, but that some changes were made. Now that was only made in the Assembly version. Now the Senate, we don't know what the Senate's going to do. And there's still the things that we put into this resolution, which we wrote, the day before Thursday when this was done, are still pretty much in effect. For instance, the obligations and the formulas that we were talking about, basically the Jacobson decision is still left in there. And I'd like to see that a little bit more codified rather than a reference to a methodology that is untested, is not sure, and could create a lot of problems through the state. There's other things like the failure to meet deadlines still open us up, even if we're moving along in good faith and perhaps something doesn't get filed on the exact date, we seem to automatically get opened up to legal action, including builder's remedy, and I believe they've expanded the terminology on that one. The bonus credits, we still have a 25% cap. So even though we're now looking at 30%, say, per senior, and we're looking at 9, I think we're up to 9 different categories that are eligible for bonus, the entire amount is only 25%. Personally, I think that's going to help. It's going to really hurt the high-hanging fruit, because there are things on there like housing for disabled, and if you have a 25% cap, and communities aren't going to go for some of the more expensive options because they'd probably rather go for the cheaper options. So they may be hurting people by including that cap. The housing element fair share plan calculations, still these need to be challenged. The builder's remedy process, I would like to see that removed. I don't know of any other law that if you break a law, you don't do something that kind of gives everybody a chance to come and take shots at you. Usually it's a civil situation between you and the governing administrative body that would either come and either fine you or force you to do something, but it doesn't mean that everybody else can come and try to make profit off of you. So I would like to see that happen. And I would like to see this taken out of the courts as much as possible. And of course, there's the whole issue, which is really the main issue for most of our towns, is what does this do to everything from our stormwater, to our schools, to our taxes, our infrastructure, unprotected farmland, all these things that now can be in the crosshairs. or that are not taken care of in some way. And that's been totally ignored in this bill. There's no looking at that. There's a bunch of other things in here. There's a bunch of the things we didn't put in this that it would be nice to see, but these major issues are still there, even with these amendments. We don't know what the Senate's going to do. So I think it's a good idea that we go ahead and still strenuously tell the legislature and ask others to tell the legislature that we would like to see these kinds of changes as this bill moves forward. Thank you.
And as the Senate takes this on, we can also see, how the bills have evolved, and we can always do, if you want to do this resolution tonight, do another resolution too, because it's ongoing. It's constantly changing, and it's kind of hard to capture it in a moment. And next thing you know, they're voting before we can get something out there. Yeah, Mayor?
Yeah. If I start talking, I'll probably talk for 2 hours, so cut me off. So,
3 minutes.
no, you want to talk?
3 minutes.
So, no, I mean, I'm not going to repeat some of the stuff others have said, but this kind of reminds me of how I was in college. I mean, just goof off first 12 weeks of the semester and last 2 weeks try to cram and just wing it. Christie deserves all the blame for abandoning coach, not appointing people. Absolutely. I mean, that's one of the many things I blame him for. But Murphy had 6 years and they were sleeping for 6 years and then suddenly woke up or working behind the scene in November, and December they tried to ram it through. Again, common sense prevailed, thank God, and didn't go through. But there are a lot of just disconnects in this. When you try to just wing it like I did in college, you make a lot of mistakes and a lot of these things. First thing is the timing. There's absolutely no need to rush it so fast, simply because a lot of towns haven't even broken ground on their round 3 obligation. Forget about round 4. I mean, West Windsor is one of the leaders. I mean, that's why I'm completely unafraid of commenting on that, because nobody can take shots at West Windsor. We have approved on every project that was part of round 3. In fact, when we went to court with engineered plans, which nobody else did for round 3. And except for 400 steps, I believe everybody has broken ground on their property. But when I look around Mercer County, a lot of towns haven't even started their round 3 obligation, not even broken. So now to create a new department within DCA, to bring it up by hiring whomever they are going to hire to staff that department, and to come up with numbers for every town in New Jersey in 6 months, it's unheard of and unnecessary. I mean, the rush is unnecessary. And then whether they come up with the numbers or not in August, whatever date is, the towns are obligated to come up with their numbers by January 15th. I would like to know what the DCA's numbers are before I commit to either saying, okay, they're good enough for me, or no, it doesn't make sense. The second big problem is the lawsuits. This doesn't prevent any lawsuits. In fact, this allows private developers to use the state to sue townships for minute things or minimum things. If the township agrees with DCA, DCA is the arbiter that is the state has decided or state has chosen. There's absolutely no reason for a developer to come and say that, hey, both DCA and the township is wrong and the number should be higher, or my property is better than his property and township should build here. So I don't expect any less money to be spent during next round than we spend in last round. We spent roughly 500,000 over 2 years in last round. I don't expect, because every developer thinks their baby is the most beautiful and everybody else's baby is ugly. And this law doesn't prevent that from happening. So, I mean, the common sense is if we accept the DCA number, then that's the end of it. Then let us figure out where we are going to build with the developers, and then a individual third party shouldn't be able to sue the township simply because they don't agree with DCA, or let them go and sue the DCA and tell them DCA is wrong. The limits that they put on various things, as also that defeats the purpose. If your aim is to bring lower socioeconomic people, people with less socioeconomic status in West Windsor, we should encourage West Windsor to build apartments. In fact, you should insist West Windsor should only build apartments and Jersey City should only build homes or townhomes that are more than $1 million. I mean, forcing West Windsor to build homes is not going to make any dent in the socioeconomic balance of West Windsor. I mean, very few people who are socioeconomically challenged can afford a $850,000 home. That's the going price now. I mean, it's absolutely defeating the purpose to say that, oh, you can't get credit for apartments. In fact, if you want poorer people or people with less means to move into it, they should encourage West Windsor by giving higher credits to houses that are cheaper. Seniors, I mean, New Jersey, forget West Windsor, New Jersey should make every effort to keep every senior in state. Most people retire, go to North Carolina or Florida. I mean, I just admire people who still live here years and years after their kids have graduated from college. I mean, most people move there. So they should make every effort to keep seniors here rather than playing games by offering credits on senior freeze, this, that. Again, nothing against senior freeze, nothing against the new program they have come up with. As I've joked before, it's just starting 1 year too soon. I won't be 60, I will be 64 when it starts. But rather than doing that, they should just fix the problem for everyone. I mean, the basic problem in New Jersey is cost of living. And this does nothing to address that problem. This will make, for example, when we open a new development, if there are 50 affordable housing units, we probably get 250 applications. And then 50 people whose number is chosen out of a lottery are the lucky ones. The remaining ones are unlucky, and that forces about 10-20 people in town to move out because they can't afford high rent. I mean, I know so many people who moved out of West Windsor when the rent went up and they couldn't afford it. So this just essentially replaces one group of people with another group of people. So as I said in my write-up in the paper, I don't have any magic solution because the issues are entrenched over a number of years, and it will take steady work to unwind them, and it will take many years to unwind them. But a lot more thought should go into this, and this looks like a bill that's favoring developers more than township. And by township, I mean common people living in township. As a mayor, I've realized the most disadvantaged people are the middle-class people because they don't technically qualify for any aid from the state, but at the same time, they find it really difficult to live in towns like West Windsor. And then they move either to other towns or just move out of state. And this bill, or in larger sense, the state legislature doesn't do anything to address that problem. And as Andrea said, and you have said, there are a lot of changes that have been made to the bill, but a lot more work can be done. And there is absolutely no rush simply because the round 3 hasn't finished yet. I mean, people haven't even finished building round 3. I mean, even West Windsor hasn't finished building round 3, although we are ahead and breaking ground. So I hope Senate makes it better, and then when it goes to the conference, it makes even better. As you said, Dan, nothing is perfect. Nothing coming out of Trenton. In fact, nothing coming out of anywhere is perfect because there's no right solution to any issue. But they need to do a lot more work and they need to fix it a lot more. And the reason it gets lopsided is because common people don't contact the legislature and complain. They will only complain that, oh, Avalon is building. Oh, why the mayor let Avalon build there? Well, mayor let Avalon build there because the state said you have to build some housing somewhere. So it's either Avalon or in your backyard, somewhere it's going to happen. So if you don't want to complain to some future mayor 5, 6, 10 years from now that why you're building it here, this is your time to let the state legislature know that slow down, give the township the tools to deal with the issues and deal with the uncontrolled development, and let them build slowly and steadily and truly encourage people to stay in town and truly encourage people to move into town. So,
Hey, thank you, Mayor. It's very good.
Yeah, you went overtime.
Yeah.
No,
But,
no, thank you. I think everybody covered for quite a bit, and I want to thank Linda for spearheading this. I know we spoke in length on the last few days to get this
Yes.
resolution. I think the important thing is, important point is what we are trying to say is, and I think Mayor just touched upon that, is give the township the tools, give the municipalities the tools to work on it, as opposed to just force down through some court numbers decided upon, and builder's remedy has to go.
Yeah.
That is something needs to go, but I don't want to repeat everything I think everybody said.
Yeah, they're beginning to call builders remedy lawsuits exclusionary zoning litigation.
Yeah, exactly.
They're just changing that a little bit. Yes, yeah, oh, yeah, no.
So I will be brief, as I always say. But, thank you, Dan, Andrea, Mayor, Linda, you all have addressed so much of the legislature part of this. So I just wanted to give a different perspective for our township and our residents. A little more in-depth look at affordable housing. I've mentioned this before. My family and I moved to West Windsor 18 years ago, 2006, through affordable housing. I sat on the school board. I've seen and talked to so many residents here in town, many of them minorities who have come to West Windsor, obviously through affordable housing. And I've also seen so many of the difficulties that have taken place in our school district, culturally, academically. And I think, we can talk and discuss legislation and things of that nature, but there's people involved. And sometimes we don't spend enough time dealing and talking with the people and what the issues the people may have when they move into an incredible, dynamic, diverse community such as West Windsor. But there have been so many issues that I've spoken to so many affordable housing individuals who have moved out of Newark, moved out of Trenton, moved out of Ewing, and the difficulties those many single moms have moved into West Windsor over the last 18 years that I've lived here, and they've had so many difficulties and lack of support and help to deal with many cultural differences, economic, obviously, differences, educational opportunities, and the differences, going all the way to sitting in classrooms and in cafeterias with individuals who may not look like them, but sometimes people differentiate themselves, and even younger people economically, and who haves and the haves and the have-nots. So I think that's something that we have to start thinking about, in the future when it comes to affordable housing is, these laws and legislation, these things are absolutely important, but I haven't heard that many people, talk about the individuals they know or individuals that they've met, or helping people who to get more acclimated in a West Windsor or any other middle class to upper affluent community throughout the state. And I think that's very, very important, because I've just seen so many issues and concerns that have come up from individuals who move from different urban populations that are very different, and they've had a real struggle. My family and I, we've been blessed. My wife and I, we work very hard, with our children and spending, and so do many others. But there's a lot of single moms that move into this town, and they struggle between 2 and 3 jobs and not having time, to spend a lot of time with their children. So as we try to balance this socioeconomic issue that exists in this state, from the urban poor all the way up to middle class, I think we should start thinking about ways and resources that we can give and grant to individuals who move here in West Windsor. That's all I had to say. Thank you.
Well, thank everybody for all the passionate statements, and there's no doubt whatever finally gets approved will have big impacts on West Windsor. So again, I did feel, and I believe everyone else feels, that it was important to make our thoughts known. So just to wrap up, this is on for a vote later in the meeting. Is there anything anyone else needs to change, or are we set to go? We're okay with it? Yes. Okay. All right. Good. All right. Thank you. We don't discuss this very often, but I think this is a moment in time where we really needed to do this. All right, so we'll continue on with the agenda now. First opportunity for public comment. If you'd like to make a comment, please come to the microphone, state your name and address, and you'll have up to 3 minutes. Okay, seeing none, I'll close public comments, administration comments.
With the weather forecast, bringing some uncertainty, I would ask residents to monitor our website and assist us, in anticipation of snow. If you have leaf and or brush in the roadway, please remove them in order to prevent any hazards with the upcoming storm. Debris can get thrown by plows into people's property as well as into the public right of way and into oncoming traffic. The other ask the township has is that if you live near a storm drain, please be sure that they're clear of debris, or if you need assistance clearing the debris, contact Public Works. The melting snow needs to be able to drain from the roadway into the storm sewers. I also would like to remind residents that there are two township codes with respect to the responsibility of snow removal and the placement of snow. Township property owners are responsible for snow removal on sidewalks within 24 hours after the end of snowfall. Municipal code section is 152-18, and the township code does appear on the township website under the township clerk. The other ask of property owners is please do not place snow or ice on township streets. It creates a real hazard. Property owners sometimes hire contractors to have snow removed from their driveways, and any snow that's removed from private property should be placed along the right of way and not in the center of the roadway. It also hinders first responders from getting to calls in a timely fashion for emergency services. And then finally, I'm going to shift gears. The West Windsor Senior Center is providing free income tax assistance with the help of tax preparers who are trained by the American Association of Retired Persons, and they work with the IRS and New Jersey State Income Tax Department. The program is available to West Windsor seniors Tuesday mornings from 9 to 12:30. The program began February 6th and will continue to April 9th, 2024. Individuals or residents are reminded to bring copies of their 2023 federal and state income tax returns, as well as all tax forms and documents they received in the mail for tax reporting purposes. It's important that you have an appointment for this service. Appointments can be scheduled by calling the Senior Center at 609-799-9068. Again, I would like to encourage residents of the importance of signing up for the township's e-bulletins, which can be done on the township website, and the police department alerts, which can be done also through the township website.
Those are the Nixle alerts.
Yes.
Right.
And
That's good.
we actually have the police Nixle alert listing connected to our webpage because it provides useful information. The two sites were separate, and by marrying the two pieces of information, I think it's a lot easier.
Sure.
Because I tend to gravitate toward the township website, and all of the police department messages that have been sent out are actually archived. Basically, you can scroll through it.
Thank you.
Quick question. I've noticed
Hey.
a number of.
Did I use all of my time?
Did you use your time
For the
for the
next
next meeting or something?
No. No, I will be very quick. Just couple of things. As Marlena briefly mentioned, depending on the model, we may get a lot of snow or we may get no snow. I hope for the latter, but DPW will be out at 4 AM, salting the roads. And they will start at 4 AM, and then depending on how the snow goes, they will decide. So please be careful tomorrow morning if you have to go to work. Be very careful. Roads will be salted at 4 AM, starting with inner streets and then the main streets. But again, it's very unpredictable. We don't have any guarantee of how much snow we will get because we are on the line. So thanks.
Dan, you have a question?
Yeah, so I've noticed that there are still, I'm not sure, a handful, if not many households that have debris garden garden debris in the streets. Is there any type of process that our public works can take to help inform folks to, clean that up?
Yeah, I mean, if somebody points that out to us, we do send somebody to give them notice to pick it up, but we don't go looking around. But if somebody complains that XYZ, and we won't take your name,
Okay.
hey, XY John complained, we will never see that. But-
If an address is provided, I do some self-reporting myself because
Mhm.
I do shield inspections as
He does.
driving into
Sure.
the office. I actually noticed a pile, and I have to compliment the resident. I think the pile is on North Post Road, and it's on the person's property. It's not in the roadway. But I have observed some situations where it's already in the street.
Oh, yeah.
We have it plastered on the current news section, on the Department of Public Works page. All I ask is if residents can report the information, I can then report it to Public Works, and then a notice of violation has to get issued, due process. And it gives the resident an opportunity to comply. And oftentimes, when that happens, the residents are very cooperative. So it's
Sure.
constant education.
I think also, Marlena, and tell me if I'm wrong, but the stormwater letter that just went
Yes.
out, the yearly,
Yes.
that has
Thank
all
you.
of that information, and every resident who owns of the property gets that as
Right.
well.
You're assuming that they read it.
Well,
Well,
It's always- I think it's-
that's.
But
my-
I-
People need to be tapped on the shoulder.
That's my,
Yeah.
that's my pet peeve.
Yeah.
People,
Yeah.
people need to read, and, I probably am OCD, but I look at the inserts in my bills because there's useful information from the
Sure.
utility
Sure.
companies, so it's just taking that moment to read and not automatically recycling without.
township,
me.
they throw it in the recycling.
So that's our biggest hurdle, and the best way to stay informed is through the township's official website.
And I think, when people are doing it, it's not that they're doing it maliciously, they just don't
Yeah.
know, right? So,
No,
friendly
that's-
reminders.
We've had some
doorbell.
mild weather, so,
sure.
I know I've been picking up debris where I live, and I haven't been putting it in the street. I've created a nice little pile on my property.
Exactly.
so.
All right, thank you.
And the debris can be dropped off at the DPW
Yes.
site.
Yes,
Yep.
and we have publicized that. Actually, that is on the township website under the current news. And residents who have that need to get debris off their property are more than they have the ability to drop the debris off at Public Works from Monday through Friday from 8 to 2 p.m. or Saturdays from 8 a.m. To 12 p.m. And if a resident has a contractor that's cleaning up the debris, residents are welcome to accompany the contractor to the Public Works site to drop off any of the debris. And the reason why we allow that is we just don't want any yard companies or landscape companies picking up material that may not even belong to township residents and dump it illegally. So we put that on the website as well. I will tell you, with the mild weather, our Public Works Department has been able to do activities that they haven't been able to do in past winters during the off season of when the crews are not out collecting yard debris and leaves. I also want to remind residents with this freezing and thawing, if potholes develop, please go online. You can report them to Public Works directly. And if you choose to, you can call town hall and we'll take it from there. But I just wish we had a lot of eyes and ears out there, and we have to look to the residents for assistance with that.
Sure, thank you.
Good. Okay, all right, we'll move on to council member comments. Martin?
Thank you. I just wanted to first thank my daughter, Michaela, for a dynamic presentation this evening. Since it is Black History Month, I just wanted to, touch note on a few things. Obviously, it's very important for any ethnicity in this country to be recognized for their contributions to this country, to their state, their area, their township. I do have a poster I brought. Michaela, can you just hold that up for a second? This poster has many of the African kings and also African Americans, and it's titled Emancipation. We've carried that, we've had that in our home for many, many years. So it's not just African Americans, but it's also kings from the world, but most of it, there are African Americans and their contributions. So it's very, very important, Black history. And the reason why I also wanted to bring that poster, when we talk about Africa, and the title is Emancipation, we're only 160 years removed, 3 to 4 generations from slavery. And, many of us talk about the atrocities that have taken place throughout this world, from genocide to Holocaust to many other things. But I just want people in our community to recognize that the largest atrocity to African Americans took place on this soil, on this United States of America, that so many of us have contributed to, and so many of us still love so dearly and work so very hard. So, to some of the artists and poets and musicians that Michaela talked about, to, Marcus Garvey, Harriet Tubman, Sojourner Truth, Frederick Douglass, Michael Jackson, Michael Jordan, Muhammad Ali, Barack Obama. I mean, the list can go on and on. So I just want people to think about, the things that those individuals and some of us are still going through to this day have had to go through here in the United States of America. The land, the free and democratic democracy, a land of democracy, and have still fought through racism, oppression, discrimination. I even think of my grandfather, who was born in 1883, and he was born not that long after slavery, and I never got to meet my grandfather, but I just know he did so much work in the 50s and 60s in South Carolina and Georgia for the civil rights movement. And I just wanted to thank him, and also my parents, who are both retired educators. My dad taught correctional kids, jailed kids in Newark for 35 years, and my mom taught urban kids in New Brunswick. So they worked very hard for me and my brother to be cognizant, not only of the issues and the plight of African Americans, Hispanic Americans, but just people in general. And is why I'm so committed to humanity, so committed to individuals regardless of race, culture, identity, I look at, human beings, and it's a blessing to be able to thank all of those individuals lineage before us, and also thank those going forward. And also, I just mentioned, especially since it's Black History Month and we talk about civil rights and civil rights activism. I mean, if we look at this dais right here, I mean, we talk about the diversity that we have and the inclusivity that West Windsor has. Many of this would not have ever taken place without, the sacrifices that many African Americans made, from slavery on to the mid 1900s and still to this day. So as West Windsor is an incredible melting pot of diversity, so many individuals probably wouldn't even be able to live in a town like this if it wasn't for those contributions of many who have fought racism, discrimination, and things of that nature. So I just want us to not only honor the contributions of African Americans to this country, but the contributions of each and every ethnicity, and the value of humanity, and the value of serving and contributing in ways that each person uses their gift and talents to be a blessing to others. And sometimes it's generations down the line, just like my grandfather, who I never met because he passed away before I was born. He would have never probably thought that I would be the first African American councilman in 227 years in the West Windsor, because at the time when he was living, these things just weren't permitted or allowed. So I just wanted to take the time to thank all of my family and those individuals, incredible individuals who have contributed to this nation and to this world. Thank you.
We thank you also for your contributions and your family's long history and all that they've done to make a difference in people's lives and have a much better life, and they thrive. And that's very, very important. So thank you. Andrea?
Always hard to go after Martin. I'd like to thank Martin. I'd like to thank Kayla for the wonderful presentation on the artists. Some of those are contemporary with my time, and I know you were looking on them as historical, but I've appreciated them. I'd like to wish everybody a very educational, meaningful Black History Month. I'd hate to think of my childhood without the Shirelles or the chiffons, or my life without the more serious African American art and music and comedy that came after. Friday, I was in New York City, and I stopped at the museum that's inside the main public library on Fifth Avenue. Spent some time there, and there I saw the famous 1770 engraving of the Boston Massacre. In it, there was Crispus Attucks, who was a former slave, and he's featured in a confrontation with British soldiers in the Boston Massacre, which was a skirmish that was crucial to igniting the fight for US independence. But I learned that for years, the depiction was whitewashed and his African-American ancestry was wiped from the picture. There was another book called The Brownies Book from May of 1920. This was an African-American publication showing pictures and citations of Black American heroes of World War I. And of course, there were other exhibits with later references to World War II and the different African Americans that fought there, mostly in segregated units. These exhibits gave me a further understanding of African American contributions to our military and contributions to our freedom that should be taught to each generation, and without obviously the whitewashing, but giving full credit to those that participated. On Tuesday, January 30th, I went to the Senior Center to welcome the senior bus that is on loan from the County Parks Department until ours gets fixed. I wanted to thank Mayor Marathi, the township staff, and County Executive Dan Benson for putting this deal together so that our seniors can have a bus again. And on Wednesday, February 7th, I attended the ASU Pink Watershed Work Group that was put together by the Watershed Institute. There was a discussion for a need to cooperate with other nearby towns in this particular watershed. We're in a couple of them, and possible additional funding opportunities that may come if we do so. So I look forward to continuing to work with that group. Thank you.
Sonia?
I don't have much to say. I just want to touch base on the presentation that was done during the last council meeting. But before I start that, I just want to wish everybody a happy Year of the Dragon. I think it was this past weekend. Many of my friends talked about eating fish. You start eating fish the day off, and then you don't finish it until the next day. So you get, I mean, there's a whole myth behind it. I think every
Oh,
culture
the
has some
richness
myths,
of the
and
year, yeah.
yeah, so
Yeah.
it was interesting to learn that. Thank you, Michaela, for your beautiful presentation. Just wanted to touch base on the presentation by the Bicycle and Pedestrian Alliance during last meeting. I wasn't here in person, but I did watch the presentation, and I've spoken to many of the trustees and the board members. I used to be one of the board members a few years ago. I'm happy to see that they presented it to the council. So thank you, Linda, for inviting them. I've been working with them, trying to get them into Board of Ed for last couple of years, and also through PTAs. They are going to be presenting to Board of Ed and the PTA presidents in May. Meanwhile, we have already started working on going into schools and doing those presentations with the PTAs during their board membership meetings with their parents. The first one already happened for Maurice Hawk, and they're looking at presenting the next one at Community Middle School very soon. During the Board of Ed meeting last week, a couple of students who are also student advisors at the with the Bicycle and Pedestrian Alliance presented and advocated for more road safety. One of the projects that I think I had reported on early January was something that I had reached out to Windsor Township and school administration was about the crosswalk between Community Middle School and High School North. These students have gotten really something that needs to be looked at, because there are many thousands of students are there in those two schools. Many students cross that crosswalk either because they're walkers and they go back home, or to go back and forth between the two schools after school for after school activities and whatnot. And that area is pretty pitch dark. So the one thing I did talk to Plainsboro Chief a couple of weeks ago, and happy to report that Dr. Adderhold met with Plainsboro Chief, and they've reached out to PSEG to see what can be done. Meanwhile, they have put some safety measures there. There are some cones put up. There are some digital signs put up. So hopefully that's helping and alerting a lot of our community members. These high school students use the word aggressive drivers, and many times these aggressive drivers are our community members and parents who are dropping off their kids and they're running late. So this has been my pet peeve. Please give yourself that extra 5 minutes so you're not rushing. So I just want to remind everybody that, don't rush, give yourself 5 minutes extra. Right. Use the school transportation. Please put your kids on those buses so you're not driving them and rushing them. The transportation budget, we'll talk about that later. It's a lot of money and it's going up again.
Oh, yeah, it's a lot.
No, I know. Then you see these empty school buses going around because parents think they're saving 10 minutes or giving extra 10 minutes to their kids, but then guess what? They're waiting in traffic for the next 15 minutes.
Right.
And then the students are tardy to school because they are late, being dropped off late. So we're really not saving anything.
Right. Well, I know what you're saying. I had 3 kids. So.
That's my pet peeve, so.
I remember those days. Dan?
Thank you, Michaela, for that wonderful presentation. It's really good to continue to tell stories about our history, past and present. And thank you, Martin, also for sharing. Again, really important to continue to tell our stories. And that's all.
Good, okay. Again, thank you, Michaela, and we really appreciate it. It was good having High School South alumni here, so we're proud of you, and you'll be graduating, I guess, in May. So congratulations, it's coming up. We're proud of you. Thanks to the mayor for getting that senior bus here, you know, with the county executive, Dan Benson, for working everything out to get that lease going, even if it's temporary. The seniors are very, very happy about that.
And the county executive, and John Marder worked with him, so.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, good, good.
I just wish they let me drive it.
Well, you gotta get your CDL license,
Oh,
special license for that.
Then we'll have you drive all day. We'll say.
Okay, so last Saturday, I also attended the Maurice Hawk Science Fair. So it's amazing how smart and articulate these students are at such a young age. And the fair is a testimony to the strong math and science program that is taught by our dedicated teachers. Happy Lunar New Year to everyone. This is the year of the dragon. So enjoy all the Chinese celebrations and delicious dishes. And happy Valentine's Day to everyone for this upcoming Wednesday. So enjoy your day with someone special close to you. Okay, we'll move on to public hearings. Oh, Chair, anything, Gay, anything from you?
I'm good.
Good.
I think you've said it all and then some.
Yeah, we.
Remember, I'm holding my 3 minutes for each meeting for the last meeting this year that I'm at. So sit back, relax, bring the
I'll
popcorn.
give you 30 minutes.
I'm gonna take my time.
We're gonna have popcorn.
Bring popcorn. 2024-01. Capital Improvement Ordinance providing for capital improvements and other related expenses in and for the Township of West Windsor, County of Mercer, State of New Jersey, appropriating the amount of $330,000.
All right, and for anyone just listening, this is for bikeway improvements for North Post Road connection to South Post Road bikeway at Village Road West. And this $330,000 is coming totally from a New Jersey DOT grant. Okay, the hearing is open. If anyone would like to make a public comment, please step up to the microphone, state your name and address, and you'll have up to 3 minutes. Okay, seeing none, motion to close the public hearing,
So
public
moved.
comment, public comment.
What's a hearing? Yep.
I said hearing, but
Yep.
well,
Okay,
yeah,
so move.
Second.
okay, roll call.
Gawas,
Yes.
Mandel,
Yes.
Weiss,
Yes.
Whitfield,
Yes.
Jeepers.
Yes, motion to adopt.
So moved.
Second.
Roll call.
Gawas,
Yes.
Mandel,
Yes.
Weiss,
Yes.
Whitfield,
Yes.
Jeepers.
Yes,
2024-02, an ordinance to amend and supplement Chapter 150 of the revised general ordinances of the Township of West Windsor by modifying provisions pertaining to stormwater pollution prevention regulations. This is for de-icing materials.
right. And this is coming from the New Jersey DEP has issued these draft draft standards, which we need to approve.
Unfunded mandates.
Unfunded, yeah. Yes. Okay, public hearing is open. Anyone who would like to make a public comment, please come to the microphone, state your name and address, and you'll have up to 3 minutes. Okay, seeing none, motion to close the public hearing.
So moved.
Second.
Roll call.
Gawas,
Yes.
Mandel,
Yes.
Weiss.
Yes.
Whitfield.
Yes.
Jeepers.
Yes. Motion to adopt.
So moved.
Second.
Any comments? Okay, no,
No, there's a model ordinance. We're gonna watch the salt.
okay,
Gawas,
Yes.
Mandel,
Yes.
Weiss.
Yes.
Whitfield.
Yes.
Jeepers.
yes. Okay. Motion approved. Consent agenda.
The bills and claims.
Okay, anyone need anything pulled? Okay, seeing none, motion to approve the consent agenda?
So moved.
Second,
Okay, roll call?
Gawas,
Yes.
Mandel,
Yes,
Weiss,
Yes.
Whitfield.
yes.
Jeevers.
Yes. Okay, motion approved. Okay, recommendations from the administration and council and clerk.
Okay. Sit back and relax. 2024 RO 53, authorizing the appointment of Anthony Esposito as the Director of the Department of Public Works. 2024 RO 54, authorizing the mayor and clerk to execute a professional service agreement with Rudderman Roth LLC for reappointment as labor attorney for 2024 for $50,000. 2024 RO 55, authorizing the mayor and clerk to execute a professional service agreement with Warren and Corricky of Suppley Clooney and Company for reappointment as municipal auditor for 2024 for $30,550. 2024 RO 56, authorizing the mayor and clerk to execute a professional services agreement with Phoenix Advisors LLC for reappointment as financial advisor for 2024 for $4,400. 2024 RO 57, authorizing the mayor and clerk to execute a professional service agreement with David P. Lonsky for reappointment as special tax counsel for tax appeals for 2024 for $40,000. 2024 RO 58, authorizing the mayor and clerk to execute a professional services agreement with McManaman, Scotland and Bauman LLC for reappointment as bond counsel and redevelopment attorney for 2024. 2024 RO 59, authorizing the mayor and clerk to execute a professional services agreement with Piazza and Associates for reappointment as affordable housing consultant for $18,000. 2024 RO 60, authorizing the mayor and clerk to execute a professional service agreement with Roberts Engineering Group to provide engineering, survey, and design services for the project known as the 2023 Storm Sewer Repairs, $87,200. 2024 RO 61, authorizing the mayor and clerk to execute a professional services agreement with Spiesel Architectural Group, Inc. to provide architectural services for the West Windsor Township Fire EMS Roof Replacement Project, $16,100. 2024 RO 62, authorizing the mayor and clerk to execute a contract renewal with On-Site Landscape Management, Inc. for public lands maintenance, cul-de-sac and street tree maintenance and replacement, $130,063. 2024 RO 63, authorizing the business administrator to purchase 2024 Microsoft Exchange licensing from SHI International Corporation, a state contract vendor for $9,025.20. 2024 RO 64, authorizing the business administrator to purchase desktops, laptops, monitors, and related accessories from SHI International Corporation, a state contract vendor for $107,370.99. 2024 065, authorizing the business administrator to purchase HP toner from SHI International Corporation, a state contract vendor for $12,000. 2024 RO 66, authorizing the business administrator to execute change order 1 with Montana Construction Corporation, Inc. for an increase of $43,198 for the project known as Duck Pond Interceptor Phase 2 for a total to date $4,387,309. 2024 RO 67, authorizing the business administrator to execute change number 1 with Buzzy's Carpet, Inc. for an increase of $2,110 for the project known as West Windsor Senior Center Carpet Replacement Project for a total of $32,959.30. 2024 RO 68, authorizing the business administrator to execute change order number 1 with Scazzeri Builders, Inc. for an increase of $10,514.65 for the project known as West Windsor Township Police Department Detective Area Renovations Project for a total of $67,180.65. 2024-069, authorizing the reduction of performance guarantees associated with private on-site improvements for the project known as Nassau Park Pavilion Gateway Out Parcel PB 19-04. 2024-R070, authorizing the release of performance guarantees associated with the monumentation for the project known as Edinburgh Animal Hospital PB 12-03. 2024-R071, authorizing the mayor and clerk to execute a memorandum of understanding with the County of Mercer for the temporary use of a 2021 Ford E450 county-owned vehicle. 2024-R072, resolution to support SRI International in their efforts to obtain funding through the CHIPS and Science Act of 2022. And 2024-R073, resolution stating opposition to New Jersey Bills S50 and A4 in their current form.
Okay, anyone need anything pulled? Okay, seeing none, I just wanted to make one comment about the McManaman Scotland and Bauman. Some of you may have read that Ed McManaman recently passed away, and I worked with him for many, many years up here on council. So on behalf of the council and the mayor, I just wanted to express our deepest sympathies to his family. And will be represented by the firm and his nephew, Kevin McManaman, who has worked with us for a long time too. Okay, so motion to approve 2024-R053 through 2024-R073.
So moved.
Second.
Okay, roll call vote.
Gawaz,
Yes.
Mandel,
Yes.
Weiss.
Yes.
Whitfield,
Yes.
Jeevers.
Yes, motion approved. Introduction of ordinances.
2024-04, an ordinance to amend and supplement Chapter 168, Traffic and Parking of the revised general ordinances of the Township of West Windsor.
Okay, motion to introduce.
Salute.
Second.
Roll call vote.
Gawaz,
Yes.
Mandel,
Yes.
Weiss,
Yes.
Whitfield,
Yes.
Jeevers.
Yes, motion approved. This is the second opportunity for public comment. If you'd like to make a comment, please come to the microphone, state your name and address, and you'll have up to 3 minutes.
Okay, thank you, Madam President. John Church, 11 Princeton Place. I'm very glad to see that the council members are engaged with our legislature and trying to clear up the bills that are before the Assembly and the Senate. Now, while I'm at it, I would like to encourage council members to raise one point with the legislature that I have raised before years and years ago at a council meeting. I think Ms. Jeevers may be the only one here who remembers what I said. I'm not sure that Mr. Herbert was the attorney at that time, but I complained about the misuse of the word fair in fair housing. Now, you see this word fair shot through and through all these bills that they're talking about. Nobody agrees as to what is fair and what is unfair. It's what you might call a question-begging epithet. It's not defined. What's fair to one person is not fair to the next person. I would just like to see this loaded word fair removed from legislation. It's just nobody agrees what it is. So if anyone should use well-defined language, it should be our legislators. I mean, really. So to the extent that you can, if you're interacting with the legislature, I would recommend, although I know it's not going to happen, that they remove the word fair and substitute words that have a real meaning that everyone agrees on. Thank you for your attention.
Okay, thank you. We'll take that into consideration. Okay, seeing no one else from the public, we'll go on to council reports, discussion, new business. Dan?
Yes, so I had my first meeting with the Human Relations Council last week. It was a good introduction. Couple things they're planning. Well, first, they talked a lot about sort of a recap on the MLK event, which I thought was quite successful. Well done. There's two other major events that they've planned over the course of the year. One is a diversity day, which will either be late May or perhaps early June, and Peace Day, which typically is in collaboration with Community Day. I don't know if Community Day has been scheduled yet, but
It's probably
I'll be based-
September.
it's usually in September. Yeah,
September.
it's usually in September. I don't know if there's an exact date yet. So they're just gonna probably make some inquiries on when that is. The other thing that came up is they're currently operating without a budget. And they've made some like personal out-of-pocket
Expenses?
payments for expenses, and I mean, it's very generous of them, but I think we should look at being able to have a small budget. And so I've asked them to sort of prepare an outline, and we're probably talking about maybe $500 per event. It's not a whole lot, so I'll bring that up with our administration to figure out how we can make that happen.
Okay, good. Thank you.
Thanks.
Sonia?
Yeah. Board of Ed met on February 6th. There was a report of early school start time committee's recommendations was presented. Board has decided not to pursue a shift in school time at this time. The full presentation and statement can be watched on the district's YouTube channel. About 2 weeks ago, the district did close on the purchase of the 28 acres farmland off of Southfield Road for future growth. Nothing is planned right now, but that is something probably come down 10, 15 years later, but it's something that they're looking at. That was so the closing has been done, so that was successfully purchased. Dr. Russo presented the 2024 preliminary budget to the board. Again, just a couple of points. The ELL and the special education cost is going to see an increase. The transportation increase is going to see approximately 8.6%. It's a big amount, and that's why I said
each year compounded.
Yeah, so they mentioned like in the last 5 years, transportation has seen an increase of $19 million.
Yeah.
Well,
there's some programs-
It's a lot of money, like, our taxes, we pay a lot of
It's
taxes.
about half our municipal
But-
budget.
What do they attribute that increase to? Is it fuel
Cost,
costs? Maintenance
so
costs?
there are a few things that cost, maintenance cost, fuel cost in general, like, the payments to the contract and,
Are they
but-
providing additional services as part of that, or is it just?
There might be
100%.
some,
there might be some, like, the also out of district transportations that
Right.
also.
and what the
goes towards that.
Department of Education allows, some new programs where students can apply for programs outside of the
Right.
district. And then we have to we have to
Yeah,
pay.
so
It's extremely
it
expensive.
contributes a lot of things, but 60% of our taxes goes to district and a big portion of that goes to transportation, and that has been my pet peeve. That's why you heard the statement I said earlier, when you see empty school buses driving around and then parents complaining about the traffic in the morning of driving kids to school. Like, if you have an emergency, the kid misses a bus and things like that, fractured bone and you need to drive, or concussion, like I have been doing. Last couple of weeks, I had to run my daughter to school because she had a concussion, so we didn't want to put her on the school bus. Things happen.
Yeah.
Well, 20, 30 years ago, that was the common, dentist appointments, doctor appointments. Obviously, you had to pick your child up, drop them off. Now it's like a mile line,
Yeah, now you
half
can't
a
even,
mile line.
you can't even
in
drive
front of
past.
every
the-
school.
Yeah, you can't even drive
No,
past.
like,
the
you know,
school.
I had a conversation with both the town's chiefs, and one thing that they mentioned to me is that they saw a pattern begin during COVID.
Yeah.
Of parents not wanting, and understandably not wanting to put their kids on the bus because of health issues, whatever, whatnot. And that pattern has not gone back. That has continued to stay where it is. So it's become a habit now of driving. So that's the increase that we saw during COVID years in 2021, where parents were dropping kids off more, has just stayed.
But we're still paying for that student to get on a bus. Plus
Exactly.
you're paying for the
100%.
seniors.
We have to,
Seniors
like,
too, even though they drive.
it's a state mandate, we have to provide the transportation, even for the seniors who are driving themselves.
Wow.
We still have to provide transportation for them. So there was something that, the board members didn't bring it up, saying that, is there something that we can look into? Different way of, can we look at transportation in a, different ways? Something that just jumps at me, and like, that's something that our neighborhood always talks about. From our neighborhood, our kids go to community middle school and high school north, which are literally across the street, and we have different school buses coming. And both of the school buses are pretty much fairly empty. Again, high schoolers drive most of the time. Can we look into some ways of, I have no idea what,
Yeah,
I don't know what the answer really.
Maybe they
answer.
should sign, the parents should sign if your child's gonna drive, then
Up,
they
in,
drive
up in
opt
or opt
out.
out.
And if the
But I
car
don't
breaks
think- I
down,
don't
they gotta
think
get
it's
their
their
own.
own.
But we
But I
give,
don't think that's
but we
allowed.
give a parking spot.
Yeah, I
Or
don't know.
pay
We
for the
give
parking
them,
spot.
no,
I
they,
grew up-
if we give a parking spot, somebody can make a choice. You either get a parking spot, no, legally.
I don't know. Again,
No.
I don't know what the right answer is. Growing up, I remember when I started either biking or mopeds. I used to take mopeds to high
Mopeds.
school. Yes, mopeds. I
I
had to
remember that.
pay for my parking.
Ah, well, we
So what
had
was
public,
parking?
we had public buses if you wanted to walk a little
Yeah,
bit further,
but
if you want to get,
anyway,
depends where you
um,
live.
Just to touch base on earlier what I mentioned about the students who were advocating for better lighting or flashing light or some sort of safety measure at the crosswalk between high school north and community middle school. These students and student advisors have come up with a petition for Windsor Township, and they're asking community members to support them. So if anybody wants to support these students on this petition, reach out to me and I can get you that petition. Parks and Rec meet on February 15th, so I don't have a report from them right now. And that is something they would be discussing about the community day during next meeting. So at our next meeting, I'll have a report on that.
Good, Andrea?
Yep, the Affordable Housing Committee met February 1st. The reorganization, Tom Calabria was again elected chair and Jean Jacobson was again elected vice chair. This is my first meeting with them. As a council member, I gave them an update on the affordable housing legislation, and we had some discussion on that. With their consultant, Piazza, is in the process of migrating their registration for affordable housing system to an online system, which will be an improvement from everything I understand. And under new business, they're going to be requesting standards for mold in the residential units. Apparently, there was some issue with one of the buildings, and it turned out there was no state standard of any kind, and there's really no regulation when it comes to residential. So they're looking at putting together some kind of legislation that would cover anybody in terms of residential units. Environmental Commission met on Thursday, February 8th, first meeting of the year. I want to mention, I know it was mentioned, I think Linda mentioned last time that Dan Dalbomilsky will be leaving on April 30th and retiring. And everybody wished him well, but we do realize that that's going to be some major change. Some of the projects and personally, I'm going to miss him. some of the projects we were talking about were the Meadow project that's in Community Park. We're not sure how Dan's leaving could possibly impact. We have some Boy Scouts that are interested in that project, so hopefully it will go ahead. There was a few other projects that they were looking at. We're also looking to do some upkeep on the pollinator gardens, the rain gardens that we've put in. Arbor Day is April 20th, which is being held by the Shade Tree Commission, but the Environmental Commission is planning on having some various displays there, and that's going to be at Rogers Arboretum. And there were some brief discussions on things like recycling, wildlife observations, and the Environmental Farming Museum.
Thank you. Martin?
Thank you. Planning Board met on last week of February 7th. There was a continued and lengthy presentation, questioning, testimony, discussion, and Q&A pertaining to PB 22-02 and its Phase 1 and Phase 2 proposed site plan for the corner of 571 Princeton Hightstown Road, Southfield Road, and McGettrick Lane. This included testimony by transportation experts regarding traffic flow and recommendations, in addition to project site planner questioning and testimony. There were several revisions presented, including sign revisions, canopy revisions and adjustments, decal placement, sale, promotional signage, which would be located on 571 Southfield Road, in addition to traffic flow suggestions. In reference to traffic flow, there potentially will be a need for McGettrick Lane to turn into a one-way road from 571 to the proposed entrance to this site and project. Obviously, that code would need to be presented to and then revised by Town Council for approval. At the conclusion of the meeting, PB 22-02 was approved. Next planning board meeting will be Wednesday, March 6th. Thank you.
All right, thank you. I have no committee meetings to report on. Just once again, YouTube technology is not working tonight. We had some problems, but the meeting is being taped and will be put back on YouTube. Is that correct? Gay?
Yes.
Okay. Any administration updates? Anything further? Mayor, anything further? Administration updates? No, seeing none?
I've spoken for 2 meetings.
Yeah, well, or 3 or 4. Oh, all right, we have a reason to go into closed session. Mayor Gay, to discuss litigation.
You need a motion in a second.
Okay, motion to go into exec closed session.
So moved.
Second.
Okay,
All in favor?
Aye.
opposed, okay, okay.
Whereas NJSA 10-412 allows for a public body to go in closed session during a public meeting. Whereas the Township Council of West Windsor Township has deemed it necessary to go into closed session to discuss certain matters which are exempted from the public. And whereas the regular meeting of this Township Council will reconvene. And whereas the below stated subject matter shall be made available at such time as the issues discussed therein are resolved, and its disclosure would not subvert any particular exception for convening a closed session. Now therefore be it resolved that the Township Council, the Township of West Windsor, will go into closed session for the following reason as outlined in NJSA 10-412 for the discussion for a litigation update.
Okay, and we will not come out voting on anything, right?
No, we're going to
That's
come
correct.
out and adjourn the meeting.
Right, okay, good. All right, so motion to adjourn? Oh, no, sorry,
do that.
sorry. After the executive session. Okay.
We go there, from B or here?
What do you want me to do? Just with the council? Yeah.
We've been keeping it, yeah.
Okay.
We don't have any. We got 4 of you.
Maybe the motion to adjourn here.
We need a motion to go back into open session.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, right?
Yep.
Yeah.
We
Okay,
did
can I have a
that.
motion to go back into open session?
So moved.
Second.
Yes. All in favor? Aye. Okay, we are in open session now. Motion to adjourn.
Salute.
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
This meeting is adjourned.
I challenged my kids one time. We did like a contest to try to see if they can move, because they know I'm a history buff.